Okay, so I want to talk about how I became a sexual health educator. Okay, so it definitely chose me. I did not choose it. All right, so after I graduated college, I moved to Harlem with my grandmother, my mom, and my sister. My grandmother was already in Harlem. I moved to Harlem after I graduated with my sister and my mom. And I was just doing retail, working at a shoe store, and me and my manager really hit it off. Like we became tight, and honestly, she was like one of the reasons, if not the only reason, why I would show up to the job for real. She was just so delightful and theatrical and interesting and beautiful, all the things. Uh, so after maybe a couple months of working there, she told me that she was leaving, that she found another job or whatever, and when she was in the job, she called me and said, "Hey, there's an open position. You should apply." And I was like, "Oh, sure. Like, I'll follow you, whatever." Like, I didn't even know where the job was. I don't even think she said that at first. I was just like, "Yeah, like, I'll follow you there." And she told me she was working at the Museum of Sex. So I was like, "Oh, okay, interesting. Bet I'm there." So, okay, the job was to be a sales associate on the floor of the museum where they would sell, all the sex toys, anything related to the museum, just the sales floor. And that it is so crazy how comfortable I was doing this. Like, sure, I'll talk about dildos for 6 hours. Like, why not? Yo, that was crazy. And I really enjoyed it because, sure, I had to know about the products and know, about you basically having like sexual conversations in a way, right? Having a conversations about sex daily. That could be really uncomfortable for some people, but I really felt like right at home because no one ever came in like being disrespectful or weird. We had security guards and stuff like that, and it was very bright. It wasn't like, it didn't feel sketchy. I don't know what it looks like now, but this was in like 2013, 2012, 13, 14, some like around that time. And it was like just well lit. The windows, like you could see the street, you could see Fifth Ave, like from the window. So people would just like kind of peek in, scared to come in. And I like the presentation. I like that it wasn't sketchy, because if you've ever been to New York and ever walked past like like a stripping spot or an adult magazine spot, it always looks sketchy, it always looks dark, like it just looks like how you imagine it to look. But the Museum of Sex didn't look like that, and I was just like, oh, I felt really proud working there. It was just like, oh, this is kind of cool, this is different. And we really had to know our stuff. We had to really help people with their purchases. We're ultimately helping people with their intimate lifestyle, and people of different ages, races, people with and without disabilities were coming in there. We had to kind of figure out what the best products for them were. Sometimes there were language barriers, people that were coming from France and from Italy and from Brazil, and we still had to help them navigate somehow. It was really an exciting job. But what I found the most interesting were that the conversations weren't so much about actual, like, the act of sex. They were more about, you know, all the kind of nuanced expressions of sex, all of the conversations that are being had or not being had, all the things that go into it before you even get to the sexual part. And I'm like, you know what? This is really interesting. People will come in there and be like, so this I was with this person, and they said this, but then like their body language says that. Like, what does that mean? Did I do this wrong? And it was more about the communication of our desires and what other people are communicating more so than it was about the act of sex. And the light bulb just kept going on in my head, like, wow, like, and there were just so many questions and not enough answers. And I was truly like, I was making shit up. I would be Googling stuff. Like, I just found myself engulfed in this topic and how to answer people's question while also helping them shop. Right. So, but, and I was really enjoying that. I was really enjoying that, but it sunk deeper when a friend of mine came to New York to visit me, and she was telling me about a sexual experience that she had, and that it didn't go how she expected. And she wanted to say no, but she felt like she couldn't. And just the story it just triggered something in me, and I was just like, okay, enough is enough. Like, I feel like it's a world of confusion happening. And at this point, at work and even in my personal life, people are coming to me seeking answers. And I felt so deeply honored to be someone that they could speak to. But I was really tired of not having answers. I'm like, we gotta figure this out, because I'm confused too. I got questions too. And so I started doing more research, reading more about Planned Parenthood, reading more about what the scene in New York was. But a lot of what I was finding had to do with the direct implications and consequences of having sex, and like the darker side of all of that. It was never about prevention, never truly about pleasure, never truly about how to get the best outcome, how to cultivate, an environment so that sex can happen. This is obviously a conversation that's happening a lot now, but back then it really wasn't happening. And so I kind of made it my business to just become the person that would have as many answers as I could possibly have, or at least help people, kind of direct people in the direction in which maybe they can get those answers, right? Help guide. And from there, I've been teaching myself, practicing, teaching, learning, experiencing sensuality, sexuality, and spirituality. And really recognizing that people know about sex, and they may understand sexuality, right? But they're not understanding how their spirit and how their senses have so much to do with what kind of experience you have sexually, and even if you have a sexual experience at all, and all the different kinds of sexual experiences you can have, they're not limited. I was just so excited to I like nuanced topics, when it comes to, like, sex and things like death, and really sensitive topics, taboo topics that people don't like to talk about. That's my pocket. That's my pocket. And there's so many reasons why I like to talk about those things, but ultimately I feel honored to talk about something so sacred, something so personal, something so intimate, and actually help guide people in a direction that they feel satisfied with and fulfilled with and comfortable with. And sex ed has really helped me understand my own autonomy and how I want to be treated just outside the bedroom, in everyday interactions. And you would think, like, what does one have to do with the other? We are going to get into it. But I just wanted to share how I became a sexual health educator. And ever since then, I have created my own curriculum, my own program, my own way of learning it, teaching it to others, and practicing it. And it has really been an anchor for me. It has really been an anchor. And I have been, ever since, teaching it to people that I know, and sharing my philosophies and sharing my ideas on how to become just like feeling like a full human being, like you're just completely aligned through this work. through understanding sexual health education and understanding how to make yourself safe and make you a safe person for yourself and for the people in your life. And when we allow that to be the guide, then we ultimately create safe communities, right? And I have a really safe, intimate community, and I just want to expand that. I want to expand that. So that's my story of how I became a sexual health educator. I look forward to sharing more. Thank you. Bye.